Hi there. My name's Songbird. Welcome to the vault. First contact? What if I told you it's already happened, and that the fact you don't know about it forms part of the biggest, dirtiest, most far-ranging conspiracy of all time? That's like, ever. And over the course of this series of transmissions, I'm gonna prove it to you. It's all here in the files. Don't go anywhere. This is full disclosure. All the way. And tonight, we're talking the Authority. The anonymous power cabal responsible for the Magic program and the creation of both the CIA and the Magic 12 group. Something we touched on last time. If you missed it, check it out. This time, we'll be diving even deeper, unpacking as much as we can about the Authority, including how their ongoing efforts to prevent full disclosure are ramping up, and how the Visitors' unexpected involvement in World War II forced the Authority's hand and resulted in first contact being made between the Visitors and the US government. Too crazy? Let me say it again. We're talking how the Visitors' unexpected involvement in World War II forced the Authority's hand and resulted in first contact being made between the Visitors and the US government. Yeah, crazy shit. Gonna be dropping those files a little later. Don't go anywhere. Firstly though, before we unwrap the Authority and their shadowy world, another quick word on Magic 12. If you recall last time, we slid the lid off the top secret Magic 12 group. Magic 12, Majestic 12, MJ 12, whatever you choose to call it. We slid the lid off the group's secret MO and showed that, contrary to the official line, Magic 12 was not a hoax, that the group was 100% real, and that it seems to have morphed and remorphed any number of times over the years, emerged and re-emerged under a slew of different code names since its formation in September 1947, in the wake of the historic Roswell UFO incident. Majestic, Urantia, the Committee, Cover Blue, Magic 12. What's in a name, right? Fact is, by whatever name, Magic 12 was and remains operational, and its purpose remains the same as it ever was: to manage and obfuscate the truth, to deny, debunk, discredit, or otherwise manipulate and control the truth about the UFO UAP story. And that's about all she wrote. But we haven't heard the last of Magic 12 and the Magic program. Not yet. Not by a cosmic mile. Over the next few transmissions, in fact, we'll be revisiting the Magic files as and when appropriate, deep diving those files to see what else they have on the infamous Magic 12 group, on why the Magic program was established in the first place, and how and why Roswell was covered up. We'll be looking at why your government and mine felt so compelled to invent such a gross and insidious mechanism to conceal the truth about Roswell, about the Visitors, about the entire UFO UAP phenomenon, past and present. We'll be unwrapping all of this, and more. Time for full disclosure. But as I mentioned last time, we need first to get acquainted, insofar as we can, with an even more mysterious group than Magic 12, an even more anonymous and sinister body, one that stands behind Magic 12 like an insidious shadow, lethal and faceless. I'm talking, of course, about the super-secret power cabal responsible for establishing the Magic program in the first place, the Authority. At the end of the last transmission, before I was so rudely interrupted, you'll recall that I alluded to tonight's topic as being perhaps the most important of all the secrets concealed down here in the vault, certainly insofar as laying a foundation for all future revelations is concerned. In fact, I think I referred to it as a crazy-ass bombshell. And a crazy-ass bombshell it undoubtedly is. Not only because we're disclosing the existence and MO of the Authority, not only because we will be unpacking as much as we can about this shadowy power group, but also because we'll be talking full disclosure about the time first contact was made between the visitors and the U.S. government. First contact was made between the visitors and the U.S. government. First contact was made between the visitors and the U.S. government. First contact. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, I know a lot of you in the so-called UFO UAP community will be aware of the alleged meeting between the visitors and President Eisenhower back in the 1950s, that, as legend has it, President Dwight D. Eisenhower met with a visiting extraterrestrial delegation at what is now Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico in February 1954. And I have to tell you, the files vaulted away down here confirm this legend as fact. They also confirm that the meeting was brokered by the authority. But the files also speak of another meeting, prior to the Eisenhower meeting. This meeting again took place at what is now Holloman Air Force Base, but what was then Alamogordo Army Airfield in New Mexico. It was at this meeting that first contact between the visitors and the U.S. government took place, a full 10 years prior to the meeting with President Eisenhower. And again, the meeting was brokered by, you guessed it, the authority. I'll show you the files that logged this meeting in just a moment. First though, let me jump back to what I'm supposed to be talking about here. Let me go right ahead and introduce you to the authority, as far as I'm able. I say as far as I'm able because all the files housed down here on the authority are, unsurprisingly, heavily redacted. The information they contain minimal, vague even. But this is what we got. The authority dates back a long way. I can't tell you exactly how far because the files are real sketchy on those dates. But what I can tell you is that today the authority includes some of the most powerful heads within and above the military-industrial complex and its circle of elite Confederates, all bound by one common purpose: to maintain their power base at all costs. And that includes preventing mass contact with the visitors. I know. It sounds like some crazy-ass dystopian conspiracy, dark and unfathomable, but that's because it's meant to. The crazier it sounds, the more reluctant people are to believe it, and the less likely they are to question it. It's the perfect ploy. It keeps the masses dumbed down, and that in turn enables the authority to maintain control, like the all-powerful, all-seeing Big Brother in Orwell's bleak dystopian prophecy. Keep the proles locked into their daily routines, watch TV, engage in social media, eat your daily bread, obey, obey, obey. Remain locked into the paradigm that keeps the masses in the box and the visitors in the sky out of reach. We need to not let this keep happening. We need to fight back. But it's not easy. Even the President of the United States answers to the authority. And that includes on matters of national security, and especially with regard to our dealings with the visitors. And that's the critical point here. The visitors, our access to them, our relationship with them, today and moving forward. As things stand, that relationship is being denied. The visitors are here, waiting to say hi, shake hands, tell us their stories and play us their tunes. But the authority stands in the way. By keeping the entire UFO UAP experience in the hands of the military, deploying the big fear strategy by making it first and foremost a national security issue, and at the same time ridiculing the whole UFO extraterrestrial story by way of the deny, debunk, and discredit strategy they're so damn cute with, the authority controls the game. And the game, as stated clearly here in the files, is to prevent full disclosure ever happening. Exactly how long this has been going on, how long the authority have been aware of the visitors, how long they've been able to communicate in some way with them, we do not know for certain. But reading between the lines, it's evident that first contact must have taken place sometime pre-Roswell, at least. Maybe even pre-World War II, and very possibly even before that. I mean, so far as we know, the visitors themselves have been around for thousands of years. Something will be zoom lensing down the line incidentally, so be sure and look out for that. But it was the 20th century and its two world wars that finally threw up the red flag and brought the visitors out to play. One event in particular. You got it. When we split the atom, we changed the game. Damn. Here, look. I dug this file out and copied it up the other day. As you can see, it's dated March 18th, 1934, and it notes the visitors' growing disquiet with regard to what the file describes as the unfolding events in the newly established Third Reich in Nazi Germany. And again here, look, this second file dated November 17th, 1942. It details segments of a transmission received from the visitors, and in particular makes mention of their evident concerns with regard to America's atomic aspirations. So clearly we can see from these two files that the visitors were keeping a watchful eye on global events in the lead up to World War II, and the deadly possibilities of how it might be brought to an end. Another file, this one here dated January 18th, 1944, contains the minutes from a meeting held by the authority in which the possibility of visitor intervention was discussed. It's not clear from this document whether the visitors had threatened to intervene directly, or if this was just a plausible risk factor being discussed among members of the authority, but it was certainly a possibility mooted at the time. And any which way, we can assume from this that the visitors must have communicated their concerns in some way, or at least shown signs of their disquiet over America's atomic ambitions. In fact, look, this file here states clearly enough that the possibility of visitor intervention through the prevention of atomic hostilities was top of the agenda at the meeting in question. And further, the visitors' increased visibility must be stringently monitored and countervailed. And even more explicit, all possible measures must be taken to ensure the safety of U.S. and Allied aircrews. Though all this may sound like the ramblings of a goofed-out sockball, the minutes from this meeting were detailed and logged firsthand, so they're 100% on point, and crucially they reveal the mounting tensions within the authority at this time. They also reveal that the reason the authority had become so uncharacteristically concerned about the visitors' increased visibility was due to something that had been occurring around this time on an ever more regular basis. Something that was sending shockwaves all the way back to the Pentagon. And it was this. By January 1944, military chiefs had become progressively concerned about reports of strange luminous orbs shadowing British and U.S. warplanes. According to the reports, the orbs were maneuvering in such impossibly fantastic ways they seemed to defy the laws of physics. As many of you probably know, these strange aerial phenomena came to be known as Foo Fighters. Witnessed by countless fighter pilots and bomber crews in the skies over Europe and the Pacific from 1942 onwards, the concern initially was that the Foo Fighters might be some kind of new German technology, but the more they dazzled the American Top Guns with their seemingly impossible aerobatics, the more it became evident they could not possibly be of earthly origin. We're here, the visitors were clearly saying. We're here, and we're watching. Senior White House figures demanded answers. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover demanded answers. It was a situation not even the authority could contain, and as a result, a game-changing decision was reached. In May 1944, the authority finally briefed the President and the FBI on the reality of the visitors' presence, and just a few weeks later, in June 1944, first contact was made. Yes, you heard that right. June 10th, 1944, at Alamogordo Army Airfield in New Mexico, President Franklin D. Roosevelt hosted the first virtual meeting between the U.S. government and the visitors. Accompanying the president were two of the founding fathers of Magic 12, soon-to-be Defense Secretary James Forrestal, and the man who was head of America's Wartime Office of Scientific Research and Development, our good friend Dr. Vannevar Bush. Top of the agenda? You guessed it. The Manhattan Project and America's soon-to-be deadly atomic weapons program. But let's hold it right there. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll come back to this momentous meeting down the line. First, I want to segue as smoothly as I can into something we really need to talk about. Something that happened just a few miles from where this meeting took place, out there in the New Mexico desert. What the files refer to as the single most standout event in modern history. Damn it. Okay, I have to go before my ass gets burned. We'll talk Roswell next time. 80 years of lies, spies, and the mother of all cover-ups. Don't miss it. Meantime, don't forget to subscribe and hit like and leave a comment and all that stuff. And if you're wanting some backstory on me, there's a video by that name somewhere on the channel. Check it. It'll tell you all you need to know. Okay, I'm out. Stay alive. I'll be back.